Whoa, we are live at infinite recursion because Robin needs to react to something.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I have not seen this yet.
All right. Here we go. Can you see it?
Yes.
All right. Let me go all the way back to the beginning.
Yes.
All right.
I think I speak for everyone here when I say it is very exciting to be in a room with you, Mr. Tolkien. Okay, we loved publishing The Hobbit. Can you tell us a bit about this next book? It's about a magic ring given to an heir, who must destroy all evil, on a magic quest. What happens next? They walk. Somebody's following them. Walk. Steal some mushrooms. Get on the boat. Walk. Those for the first time. Wow. Walk. Nighttime. Walk. Attacked by tweez. Okay. I'm not a third of the way through. Walk. Meet a weird bush guy. Walk. Finally a town. Safe. Eat. Rest. Show everyone their secrets. Get the fuck out of there. Run. Run. Scared. Stand by Dementor. Run. Dementors can't swim. Fuck back to Azkaban. Okay, well that seems like a good place to end it. We'll publish it. I'm almost halfway. Rest. With elves, they've seen this before, but now they got a dwarf. Walk. Heaps of walking. Path is blocked. Orc, run! A Balrog has come! Kick him in the arse! You shall not fuck with me! Walk! On a boat! Bottom is an asshole. What if for a while they rode a massive hawk? I think I'd prefer if they were... This is my motherfucker! They'll walk if I tell them to! Get that weird ass bird shit out of here!
Oh my god.
Is that not the best thing that has ever happened? Ever?
That is so fucking accurate.
I'm not a third of the way through.
You shall not fuck with me.
I'm so glad that worked. I wish I could have seen your face. I'm gonna have to rewatch it because I had to full screen the video.
Yeah, you can rewatch.
But I can hear.
Saved for posterity now. I once made a friend with a sentence. I was walking past the front of Walmart in the middle of the night for I don't even remember what reason, and there was a clot of people talking about Lord of the Rings, and I paused and said, the best thing about Lord of the Rings is if you open it to any page, they're either walking or talking about walking. And one of the guys spun around and was like, you are one of us.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
I've seen that like 4 times. It never gets less funny.
I imagine there's probably more that you catch. Like that, yeah.
Meet a weird bush guy and it's Crocodile Dundee.
Bree is Bitchfield.
Attacked by tweez. I would wear a shirt that said attacked by tweez.
Get the fuck out of there.
They've seen elves before, but now they've got a dwarf.
Oh, love it. While we read tonight, I am going to make another one of these because they're incredibly addictive.
You've made like 3 of them, right? And Abby's made 1? Okay.
I've made 2 and Abby's made 1, and Nerdy Crafter has commented on all of them just to say, cool.
Neat.
Right?
I was watching her I was watching her video on learning to pick locks earlier today.
She is getting such a huge kick out of trolling people with the developing skills I'll never utilize. I enjoy her Sika episodes best, and I think I like it when she crafts. I like it when she makes resin things.
Ever since you've said that Jackie and Sika are basically you and I can't unsee it.
I just need a little beanie.
Yeah,
oh, wow.
And I
really need a beanie.
I feel you, and I need my hair to curl more reliably. I didn't put too much in it this wash, so it's not really doing anything. But
It looks nice in a waterfall kind of way.
It's almost jaw length, so that's fun.
Ooh, sort of like half of Eon Flux.
I am not going to be AM Flux for Halloween. We're not doing it.
No, are you sure?
Yes.
I couldn't stand that movie until I watched the riff tracks. From the very first line, like the title shows, and you hear, I think it's got to be Kevin Murphy's voice going, well, at least we don't have to guess what the porn version's called.
Speaking of movies that are coming out that are practically their own porn version, did you hear they're making a Venom 2?
Yeah, I'm trying to care. I don't care. The first one had some pretty major flaws for me.
Yes, but I'm pretty sure Venom 2 is just going to be a rom-com between Venom and Eddie Brock. So that's what I'm here for. There's a teaser trailer where Venom goes to a rave.
Wow.
I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm really here for it.
The Venom movies are very like the Ant-Man movies, where I'm like, you made rules and you're not sticking to those rules, so I'm frustrated with you. Even though the performances and the acting and the effects are all on point, I'm like, it's missing internal continuity, and I can't get past that because I'm a nerd.
This particular internal continuity didn't bother me in Venom. Mostly the one girl's wig bothered me. It was so bad.
Yeah.
Like I don't normally notice when things are wigs, but that was a bad wig.
That was a bad wig. And if it wasn't a bad wig, she needs to fire her hairstylist. Okay, so 2 things. One, why did the main characters not die when the Venom leaves them? Because that was like a thing. That was an established thing. The alien leaves, you fucking die. Or it invades you, you fucking die. But the girlfriend gets invaded and she just gets to like not.
I mean, granted it's been a while since I saw it.
Yeah.
But I thought it was that if you couldn't bond with the alien successfully, then you would die and then it would leave because it didn't have a host. Whereas if you could successfully bond with the alien, then you were fine and it could come and go willy-nilly.
Okay, that would probably make sense. If I watch it again, I'll try to keep that in mind and maybe it will smooth the bumps for me. The other thing was just a design thing for me. Eddie Brock's fall from grace and landing in his gutter area where Venom finds him was completely lacked any kind of weight because he started out looking so scrub. So scrub. Like they didn't shave him, they didn't put him in nice clothes. He started out dirty in a sweatshirt. He ended up dirty in a sweatshirt. So I was like, what, now you're sad and dirty in a sweatshirt instead of angry and dirty in a sweatshirt? Like,
I mean, that's arguably less good, but I see your point.
It's not necessarily a deal breaker. It just bugged me.
Yeah.
I am very much looking forward to the live action Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, I've heard that looks really good. I've never watched the anime.
I recommend it up until the last episode. It ends with a very 60s sort of pot boiler. Well, that's life, and now is he bleeding out in the gutter or not? We're not going to tell you. Roll credits kind of way.
Oh yeah.
Cheer up, man! It's Chinatown kind of thing. And I don't like those endings, but up until that fucking 10 minutes, it's brilliant and classic. And anyone who disagrees can just leave a comment and tell us why. They didn't. Faye was dressed like a whore in the cartoon, and she's not dressed like a whore in the live action. And there's a lot of fanboys who are getting their wee panties in a twist about it.
Yeah, well,
I think that's a selling point.
Yeah. Indeed. Kind of like how they're making live action Sandman and they cast a black woman as Death And anyone who's upset about that, I'm like, well, you can. I think Neil Gaiman has pretty much said you can fuck right off.
If she does a good job, she'll do a good job.
Yeah, I watched the teaser trailer for that too, and it's looking good. And I'm not a lover of Sandman. Like it's a little
nightmare fuel.
Yeah, little gory and violent for me. Someone told me that most people recommend, like, if you're reading it for the first time, that you don't read like the first 2 volumes. And I was like, oh, that would have helped.
That would have helped a lot. Yeah, I guess the plot really does kind of pick up in the 3rd volume, but just every volume has got like an amazing story and then one scene that you can't pry out of your brain with an ice pick.
And that's why
forever.
And that's why I never got to the 3rd volume. I went through the first 2. I was like, nope, that's enough of that.
Right.
Felt the same way about the comic for League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah.
Not getting that out of my brain.
Oh, yeah.
Wish I could.
Yeah.
Very much would like to unread that.
That was... I think the bit that haunts me the worst is the Invisible Man and where they found him and how.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are many things that happen to the Invisible Man haunt me. Let's move on and never think about that again.
I like ElfQuest, but apparently okay, so the final quest, I've got the 1st volume. I read it once. I was like, none of this speaks to me. I love you, Wendy Pitt.
Hello.
I count everything that's happened in the role-playing games, everything that's happened. So it's like several thousand years after Rogue's Challenge that it picks up. And Suntop is now Sunstream or something, and he's decided to be a hybrid fish in order to be with his woman, and half the characters are dead. And
sorry, I'm just laughing because that sounds like a Guillermo del Toro plot.
It's so Guillermo del Toro, and the art doesn't hold up to the old art. And I don't know if she's giving more of it to apprentices or if she moved to digital and just doesn't have quite as deft a touch with the digital. It's still good, but it's not as good.
That's a shame.
Yeah, and apparently in the 2nd volume of the final quest, we lose Cutter. Moonshade decides to be a high one and lose her wolf blood. Like, all of this weird shit happens that's super outside of my happy zone. Spoilers, people, sorry. I don't want it. That's not part of my story. So that's not part of my world of 2 moons.
Yeah.
I kind of liked Shards. I didn't get to read all of Shards, but the premise, or part of the premise, was that the little girl that Lita heals, the little human girl that Lita heals in book 8, grows up and becomes an ally of the elves.
I think I remember that. I think I have one of the volumes of Shards.
Right, and that's the only one I've read. Is like, or I might have read 2. I didn't read the whole arc. I don't know if the whole thing's good, but the bit where Strongbow's falling and she holds out her hand and screams, "Archer, trust me," and he shoots his arrow through her hand because it's attached to a rope and they're in a cavern, so there's nothing else for him to shoot that would have held. And she knew that like that was her saying, "I'm the only thing you can shoot at so that you don't fall to your death."
That's a powerful moment.
It's a powerful moment, right? Yeah. So if there's more of those in that arc, I would like to read it someday. But meanwhile, which element shall I do while we read for 20 minutes?
I wasn't gonna say it. Oh man, I'm trying to think.
Do you have a favorite?
Yes, but it's been long enough since I saw them that I can't remember which element it is, but it's like I want to say it's a glowy mermaid lady. Is there a glowy mermaid lady?
There is a mermaid that is not glowing. There's a mermaid with the
Oh,
shoot.
with the like lit thingy on Bob.
Anglerfish.
Yeah, that might be it. I don't know. It was a dark painting. It was a woman. It was glowy.
It was probably gallium.
That sounds
there's only
right.
4 mer people. One is bromine, and that's a dude. One is cesium, and that's a troll. One is mercury, and she's got all the hair.
So it was either mercury or gallium, but probably gallium. But I think you should do the one that's going to make you happy,
right?
And be fun to do.
Hang on. They would all be fun. Her?
Yes.
That is gallium. Cool. How do I make this into a mer person? That'll be a fun challenge. I'll figure that out while you read to us from the holy volume of awesomeness. I hope they're walking.
Well, that depends on where we are, but let's find out. Because we were talking to Burgill.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so there goes the trumpet for the closing of the gate. Does that sound right? Or had we gotten to there will be no dawn?
I think it was just there will be no dawn. Okay. But remember, this was I read past you. I read past us. Avi and I read past this point, so I'm a little lost.
I think it was there will be no dawn because that's the end of a chapter, so that would make sense that that's where we stopped. And we definitely didn't read the next chapter because we're going back to Rohan. Right.
Totally, there will be no dawn.
Word. Chapter 2. Chapter 2. Oh my God. The passing of the Grey Company. Gandalf was gone, and the thudding hoofs of Shadowfax were lost in the night when Merry came back to Aragorn. He had only a light bundle, for he had lost his pack at Parthgallen, and all he had was a few useful things he had picked up among the wreckage of Isengard. Hasufel was already saddled. Legolas and Gimli stood with their horse close by. So they are not walking, they're riding.
Woohoo!
Riding. Dementus can't swim.
That's almost insulting because the Dementors and Azkaban thing are definitely not first.
Indeed.
But go ahead.
Yeah, not even in the movies, because they made the Harry Potter movies after the Lord of the Rings movies, and everyone was like, what is that, a cut rate Nazgul?
Yep. That's what I thought when I read the books.
I mean, that's probably what it was.
Like, I can't. Someone during the height of the Harry Potter craze was like, why don't you like these? And I said, because I have read all of the books that J.K. Rowling is stealing from, and she's not doing it respectfully. And they were like, well, name one thing. And I just looked at her and I was like, a disembodied villain bent on taking over the world. Hello. No, really?
Man, there's we're not going to get very far in the book tonight. But there's a series that I have been reading that I quite enjoy. That's basically this author wrote a book called Fangirl, and the heroine writes fan fiction for a series that's clearly, closely based on Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And her fanfic is called Carry On. So then the author wrote Carry On.
Oh.
And turned it into a series. It's so meta. They're really fun books. And one of the things that she talks about is the fact that because the hero is like the chosen one for the world of mages, and he's in foster care in London, and then he goes to the school during the school year, and then in the summers he has to go back to foster care.
That's
because
familiar.
the mage says so, the head of the school. And Roll makes a point of pointing out how incredibly fucked up that is.
Yep.
And how weird it is that the mage is asking a 10-year-old boy to take on all of these quests and do all these heroic things. And so she pretty much just lampshades how upsetting the whole chosen one narrative is, which is really fun.
Oh, I love it. It's about time somebody did. Oh, I don't want to do that. Where is do I have a hammer? If I had a hammer.
I was gonna say, would you hammer in the morning?
I would. I would also hammer in the evening all over this land. Okay, so this is the rock that I used as a hammer when I was a teenager and couldn't find a hammer.
I recognize that rock.
Yeah.
I can't believe you still have that rock.
Why would I have gotten rid of this rock? It's a very useful rock.
I know. I mean, I can believe you still have it. I'm just surprised to see it. I hadn't thought about it in 20 years.
Oh, let's pray. Nope, wrong thing broke.
Oh dear.
Everything but the legs broke.
Oh no.
Should have gotten a saw. All right. You go ahead. I'll fix all this in a minute.
I'm just very riveted. Okay, where was I? Blah, blah, blah. Legolas and Gimli stood with their horse stood close by. So 4 of the company will still remain, said Aragorn. We will ride on together. But we shall not go alone, as I thought. The king is now determined to set out at once. Since the coming of the winged shadow, he desires to return to the hills under cover of night. And then whither? Said Legolas. I cannot say yet, Aragorn answered. As for the king, he will go to the muster that he commanded at Edoras 4 nights from now. And there, I think, he will hear tidings of war, and the riders of Rohan will go down to Minas Tirith. But for myself, and any that will go with me,
I, for one,
cried Legolas.
And Gimli
with him, said the dwarf.
I'm not a nerd, shut up.
Well, for myself, said Aragorn, it is dark before me. I must go down also to Minas Tirith, but I do not yet see the road. An hour long prepared approaches. And I just can't wait to be king. Don't leave me behind, said Merry. I have not been of much use yet, but I don't want to be laid aside like baggage to be called for when all is over. I don't think the riders will want to be bothered with me now. Though, of course, the king did say that I was to sit by him when he came to his house and tell him all about the Shire. Yes, said Aragorn, and your road lies with him, I think, Merry. But do not look for mirth at the ending. It will be long, I fear, ere Theoden sits at ease again in Meadowside. Many hopes will wither in this bitter spring.
Very, very cheerful there, Aragorn. Thank you.
I mean, everyone's super cheerful right now. Dawn won't come. Many hopes will wither.
Yep. Everything sucks and we gonna die.
I know you have a plan, but couldn't you build the tail off of that one leg and kind of have it coming out to that side rather than taking it off? Okay, cool. Moving on. Soon all were ready to depart. 24 horses with Gimli behind Legolas and Merry in front of Aragorn. Presently they were riding swiftly through the night. They had not long passed the mounds at the fords of Isen when a rider galloped up from the rear of their line. My lord, he said to the king, there are horsemen behind us. As we crossed the fords, I thought that I heard them. Now we are sure. They are overtaking us, riding hard. Theoden at once called a halt. The riders turned about and seized their spears. Aragorn dismounted and set Merry on the ground, and drawing his sword, he stood by the king's stirrup. Eomer and his esquire rode back to the rear. Merry felt more like unneeded baggage than ever, and he wondered if there was a fight what he should do. Supposing the king's small escort was trapped and overcome, but he escaped into the darkness, alone in the wild fields of Rohan, with no idea where he was in all the endless miles? No good, he thought. He drew his sword and tightened his belt. I love how Mary's like, I don't know what I should do. I'm probably not going to be any good in a fight, but screw it. I'm going to just draw my sword. like,
I could run off like a pussy, but then I'd be even more screwed and I'd die of starvation. Okay, battle it is.
Which I feel is probably the choice that any of us would make in that situation.
Yep.
But Mary, if it had come to battle, Mary probably also would like kick a ton of ass.
He really
just
would.
Be like, yeah, whatever. I wasn't sure. Hi. Hello. The cat is lying on my pretzel bag. because it makes a noise that she likes. Oh my god, she's so funny. I keep the cat food in a closet, and every time I go in to like get her dinner or whatever, she climbs onto the bag and like tries to lay down on it, and it's just like, I live here now, and you gotta come out of the closet.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay, where was I?
No good. Tightened his belt.
The sinking moon was obscured by a great sailing cloud, but suddenly it rode out clear again. Then they all heard the sound of hoofs, and at the same moment they saw dark shapes coming swiftly on the path from the fords. The moonlight glinted here and there on the points of spears. The number of the pursuers could not be told, but they seemed no fewer than the king's escort at the least. When they were some 50 paces off, Eomer cried in a loud voice, and I cannot remember for the life of me what voice I gave Eomer. Halt! Halt! Who rides in Rohan? I think I joked about giving him a southern accent, and you told me not to do that.
Please don't do that.
Don't worry, I actually can't do that.
Rides in Rohan!
Except it would be, who rides in Rohan?
Rohan.
Anyway, we're not doing that. The pursuers brought their steeds to a sudden stand.
Or it might be like Nolan, so like, who rides in Ruh?
Actually, that does sound likely. Stop chewing on my microphone cord.
But I must.
It is not for kitties.
Everything is for kitties.
Yeah, I have been saying such and such is not for kitties since I brought her home, and she has not once believed me. Nope. Let's see. The pursuers brought their steeds to a sudden stand. A silence followed, and then in the moonlight a horseman could be seen dismounting and walking slowly forward. His hand showed white as he held it up, palm outward in token of peace, but the king's men gripped their weapons. At 10 paces... What? Yeah, at 10 paces... We're pretty wary of white hands right now, so you're going to want to say something. He was tall, a dark standing shadow. Then his clear voice rang out. Rohan? Rohan, did you say? That is a glad word. We seek that land in haste from long afar. You have found it, said Eomer. When you crossed the fords yonder, you entered it. But it is the realm of Theoden the king. None ride here save by his leave. Who are you, and what is the haste? Halbarad Dunedain, ranger of the north I am, cried the man. We seek one Aragorn, son of Arathorn, and we heard that he was in Rohan. And you have found him also, cried Aragorn. Giving his reins to Merry, he ran forward and embraced the newcomer. Halbarad, he said, of all joys, this is the least expected. Merry breathed a sigh of relief.
What the fuck are you doing here?
You old son of a gun.
Come here, you.
Merry breathed a sigh of relief. He had thought that this was some last trick of Saruman's to waylay the king while he had only a few men about him. But it seemed that there would be no need to die in Theoden's defense. Not yet, at any rate. He sheathed his sword. I guess I'm not dying today.
Very realistic.
Yeah, right. All is well, said Aragorn, turning back. Here are some of my own kin from the far land where I dwelt. But why they come, and how many they be, Halbarad shall tell us. I have 30 with me, said Halbarad. That is all of our kindred that could be gathered in haste. But the brethren Elladan and Elver here have ridden with us, desiring to go to the war. I want to go to the war.
I want to go to war. No, I want to go to war. You're both going to war. Shut up.
I will turn this group of horsemen around. We rode as swiftly as we might when your summons came. But I did not summon you, said Aragorn, save only in wish. My thoughts have often turned to you, and seldom more than tonight, yet I have sent no word. But come, all such matters must wait. You find us riding in haste and danger. Ride with us now, the king will give his leave. Theoden was indeed glad of the news. It is well, he said. If these kinsmen be in any way like to yourself, my lord Aragorn, 30 such knights will be a strength that cannot be counted by heads. Then the riders set out again, and Aragorn for a while rode with the Dunedain, And when they had spoken of tidings in the north and in the south, Elrahir said to him, I bring word to you from my father. The days are short. If thou art in haste, remember the paths of the dead.
Tolkien didn't do subtle foreshadowing, did he?
No, Tolkien didn't do subtle anything.
That's true.
Walk, 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 walk.
I'm nearly halfway through.
Thou shalt not fuck with me. Always my days have seemed to me too short to achieve my desire, answered Aragorn. But great indeed will be my haste ere I take that road. That will soon be seen, said Elrahir. But let us speak no more of these things upon the open road. And Aragorn said to Halbarad, What is that you bear, kinsman? For he saw that instead of a spear he bore a tall staff, as it were a standard, but it was close furled in a black cloth, bound about with many thongs. Excuse me.
Many thongs?
No, this is why I'm saying excuse me. This is my book. This is my cat.
He is classic Kitty, I see.
Oh yes. She is definitely living up to her stereotype right now. You don't want pretzels. I assure you, you would not like them. Okay.
I assure you to shut up, human.
It is a gift that I bring you from the Lady of Rivendell, answered Halbarad. She wrought it in secret, and long was the making. But she also sends word to you. The days now are short. Either our hope cometh, or all hopes end. Therefore I send thee what I have made for thee. Farewell, Elfstone. And Aragorn said, Now I know what you bear. Bear it still for me a while. And he turned and looked away to the north under the great stars, and then he fell silent, and spoke no more while the night's journey lasted. It is 7:59, and also the cat's on the other page. So I think we're going to have to call it. Say hi.
Hi. Hi, little one. Well, I would apologize to our viewers, except that when they do exist, they'll enjoy this too. So that's all good.
Indeed.
Yeah. And
it currently looks a bit like a duck.
Yes. Yeah, she has a chin.
I'm very excited to see how this progresses.
Right. I'm very nervous to continue working on it while the arms and head are still only tenuously attached. But I'm kind of... I think... so this is epoxy sculpt.
Mm-hmm.
And once you blended the two parts, you have to use it. It'll harden.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what should I do? Because I kind of want to carve the face a little to give her eye sockets.
Could you make it into the like the lanternfish part? Not lanternfish, you know what I mean.
So, yeah, I think that would work. At least the beginning of it, so that it's attached.
Speaking of epoxy sculpt and making it into things, have you seen the new Delightful? There we go.
I have, and I frickin' love it. Although she looks like she's seen things. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, the face-up I was not so sure about, but she's just getting, like, doing these more and more complex projects. I was going back and watching some of her archive, and it used to be like, I wiped off the paint and repainted it, and now it's like, all right, I went in with a Dremel and cut off all of her extremities, and I rebuilt them.
Right? It's just she's leveling up.
Mm-hmm.
She's leveling herself up. I freaking love her.
Yeah, she's great.
And I don't know why it gives me such a kick. It's not even my business, but hearing her speak Korean in the episodes when she does makes me happy.
Mm-hmm. Well, like all her notes and stuff are in Korean.
Right?
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. But yeah, the tiny pupils are never a good idea. Tiny pupils mean this person is in great fear or anxiety or startlement.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just... That's the only part that was like, huh.
Yeah, that part was a little bit interesting. You're probably going to need I didn't think of this until now. You're probably going to need an armature for that thing.
Yeah,
Huh?
I probably will, but yeah, I'm going to. So I'm going to use that part, and I'll poke a hole for an armature wire for the rest.
Totally. Well, and then you could do it out of like fabric or something, make it a little more flexible. That's why I thought about the latest Delightful, because she does the silicone.
Oh yeah, those are fun.
Yeah. Oh, or you could do it out of resin, and you could make it out of like glow in the dark resin.
We do have glow in the dark resin.
I know, that's why I thought of it.
That is totally cool. Yeah, the Snurdy Crafter kit is the bomb. I love these paints. I'm gonna have to order a shit ton more of these paints. I tried painting on my first plaster figure just with regular acrylics because I was like, well, I don't want to waste Abby's paints. Has to be thin bodied. The thick bodied stuff never dries properly on plaster.
That makes sense.
Right? Because it keeps a plastic layer and the plaster has to breathe. So you end up with it was tacky. So then I painted over that with the thin body stuff and it fixed it. So I was like, all right, I learned my lesson. But some of these tools are tools that I never had with Sculpey before. And I'm like, this makes my life so much easier. These little silicone things.
Oh yeah, to like smooth.
Yeah, and I've never had these ball tools, and now we have 3 sizes, and I'm like, I couldn't live without them now. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Right?
Did I tell you I took a woodworking class?
Did you? Awesome.
I did. Yeah. And at first I was like, I don't know if this is for me. Like the machines are kind of loud. But then I had this idea for a thing, and I was like, the only way I could feasibly make this thing probably is with woodworking.
Right. Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see if I actually go through with it. But I thought of a way that I could make like a little basically wooden sleeve for my laptop so that I could use it and the cat could lay on it but not press the keys.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I think Jason's most esoteric woodworking project to date is the thing that you're on. That.
Oh, yeah.
It is a stand which has a space in front of it that I can use, and then a gap in the top where I can see the screen so that I can point it properly. And he uses scrap wood in the shop to make these funky little mosaic things that I love.
Neat.
Right? So yeah, that's your home when I'm working. But next week I'm reading, and we're starting at what? Like we got nowhere, didn't we?
Well, we got about as far as we ever do, which is to say about a page and a half.
Halbarad and his
Yes. So we got to
banner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Passing of the Grey Company in my book is page 756. We got to the middle of 758.
So would you say Halbarad is one of the better characters left out of Return of the King?
So I don't remember too much about Halbarad, so let's read a little bit more about him and see what I think.
He doesn't do much, but yeah.
I mean, it would have been cool to see a bunch of Rangers ride up, but I understand why they couldn't do that.
Gotta pare it down. Keep it slender. Yeah. One of the best cuts I thought was Prince Imrahil. Avi has no use for Prince Imrahil.
Who has any use for Prince Imrahil? He doesn't do anything.
He doesn't do anything. He's just there. Like, oh, I'm a prince and I'm handsome and Legolas honors me. And I'm like, who cares?
Look, Legolas can't be going around honoring people. He is a dwarf to take care of.
That's right. Yep.
I did see someone who was like, most people think Return of the King has too many endings. I thought it didn't have enough because I wanted to see the one where Legolas rolls up at the Undying Lands with Gimli, and all the other elves are like, what the fuck?
Except that there is a theory that Galadriel gave him the grace to do that. He sent her a psychic message saying, hey, Gimli would really love to see you again. And she's like, I run things around here. I say it's fine. And at that point, I think only 4 of the Fellowship are dead. because Gandalf. So at the very, very end, Gandalf and Frodo and Sam and Legolas and Gimli would all show up at the Undying Lands, and so it's more than half of the Fellowship makes it to Paradise.
Indeed, yeah.
In the flesh, the others have to die.
Yeah, because Aragorn, Boromir,
Merry and Pippin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Of course, they die at like 112 and get laid to rest in honor in Gondor and shit. So, like,
I feel like that's really what they wanted. They didn't really want immortality.
Right? They wouldn't have known what to do with it.
No. I mean, it's really questionable whether Frodo's going to know what to do with it, but that's another story for another day. Hopefully
Right?
they have lots of PTSD-trained therapists in the Undying Lands.
And if they don't, he can just kind of muddle along until Samwise turns up, because he'll help. Because he has like the attitude of a Buddha. And it was very, very helpful to Frodo to have that around. Like, yeah, sure, Mr. Frodo, we might die. And then again.
Excuse me. Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Mr. Frodo, you did lose a finger, but you've got 9 left, and that's enough to dig in the garden with, isn't it? I love you.
I love you too. I will talk to you next week.
Okay. Cuidado.
Veamos.